A hush seems to settle over the canvas, as if time itself has paused at the threshold between despair and hope. The air is heavy with anticipation, charged with the weight of sorrow and the fragile spark of belief. In this moment, the painting invites us into the heart of a profound emotional tension, the instant when death's silence is broken by the promise of life. Shadows cling to the rough stone walls, pressing in on a gathering of figures whose faces are illuminated by a light that seems both earthly and otherworldly. Each person is caught at the crossroads of fear, awe, and wonder, their gestures and expressions forming a silent chorus of human vulnerability. The scene is saturated with the ache of loss and the trembling relief that follows an impossible return. At the center of this drama, the painter has chosen to capture not the thunderous spectacle of a miracle, but the quiet, intimate shock of resurrection as it unfolds. The narrative is distilled into a single, breathless instant. Lazarus, once wrapped in the stillness of death, now blinks against the light, his eyes opening to a world he had left behind. The crowd, pressed close within the confines of the tomb, recoils and leans forward in equal measure, their bodies curving toward the source of the impossible. The emotional current is palpable. Grief, disbelief, and the dawning of hope ripple across the faces and hands that fill the foreground. This painted tableau draws directly from the biblical account in John 11, where Christ calls his friend Lazarus forth from the grave. Here, the artist departs from the strict letter of the text, choosing to place the witnesses within or at the very threshold of the tomb itself. This compositional decision intensifies the immediacy of the event, drawing the viewer into the heart of the unfolding miracle. The figures do not merely observe from a distance. They are participants, swept up in the drama of resurrection, their reactions forming a living frame around the central act. The eye is inevitably drawn to the figure of Jesus, who stands near the center of the composition, his presence both commanding and serene. He is robed in darkness, yet a soft, luminous glow outlines his form, setting him apart from the tumult of the crowd. The white of his undergarment, visible at his chest, serves as a visual anchor, a symbol of purity and divinity amid the somber hues that dominate the scene. His hands are open, palms outward in a gesture that is at once authoritative and compassionate. This subtle choreography of hands and posture reinforces his role as both miracle worker and gentle shepherd, a figure whose spiritual authority is expressed not through spectacle, but through calm assurance. The lighting, carefully orchestrated, draws the viewer's gaze to Jesus, while the surrounding figures remain partially veiled in shadow. This use of illumination does more than highlight the protagonist. It creates a sense of solemnity, anchoring the narrative in a moment of quiet gravity. The contrast between Jesus' composed demeanor and the emotional tumult of those around him heightens the psychological tension, underscoring the extraordinary nature of the event. Flanking Jesus are two women whose presence is both intimate and essential to the narrative. They are identified as Mary and Martha, the sisters of Lazarus, each embodying a distinct response to the miracle. On one side, Mary crouches low, her face buried in her hands, a posture that speaks of grief, exhaustion, and perhaps the overwhelming relief of seeing her brother returned. On the other, Martha gazes upward at Jesus, her features etched with hope and a tentative faith. The interplay between these two figures encapsulates the complex emotional landscape of the scene. mourning transformed into wonder, skepticism edged with reverence. Their proximity to Jesus not only signals their personal connection to Lazarus, but also grounds the biblical story in the tangible reality of familial love and loss. The crowd that fills the tomb is rendered with remarkable attention to diversity and detail. Unlike many traditional depictions of biblical scenes, the artist has chosen to represent a spectrum of Jewish people drawn from across North Africa and the Near East. This diversity is visible in the varied skin tones, facial structures, and clothing styles, turbans, robes, and head coverings that speak of different regions and traditions. The artist's commitment to authenticity challenges the notion of a racially homogeneous ancient world, instead offering a more nuanced and historically plausible vision of the Jewish community of the time. This inclusive approach not only enriches the visual tapestry of the painting, but also underscores the wide-reaching impact of the miracle being witnessed. Within this gathering, the range of human response is vividly portrayed. Some figures lean forward, eyes wide with astonishment or skepticism. Others shrink back, uncertain or afraid. A few reach out tentatively, as if hoping to touch the boundary between life and death. The spectrum of expression, curiosity, fear, hope, serves to humanize the biblical narrative, inviting viewers to find their own place among the witnesses. At the heart of the scene lies Lazarus himself, his body half reclining in the foreground, still partially enshrouded in the white cloths of burial. His skin is rendered in pale, almost translucent tones, a visual reminder of his recent passage through death. The contrast between his pallor and the warmer hues of those around him further emphasizes his liminal state. No longer dead, yet not fully restored to the vigor of life. His eyes, just opened, seem to search for meaning in the faces that surround him, while his limbs remain weak, supported by the hands of those who assist him. The careful rendering of the burial cloth, with its soft folds and subtle shadows, speaks to the artist's attention to the physical realities of the scene, even as he captures the intangible moment of transformation. The composition is unified and dramatized by the use of chiaroscuro, a technique characterized by strong contrasts between light and shadow. Here, the primary light source appears to emanate from the lower left, bathing Jesus, Lazarus, and the immediate crowd in a warm golden glow, while the recesses of the tomb recede into darkness. This interplay of illumination and obscurity does more than create visual drama. It guides the viewer's attention to the pivotal figures and heightens the sense of spiritual mystery. The setting itself is rendered with minimal detail, its boundaries softened by shadow, allowing the emotional and symbolic content of the scene to take precedence. This approach to lighting and composition is characteristic of late 19th century religious painting, blending the realism of observed detail with the symbolic power of light. The artist behind this evocative work is Henry Ossawa Tanner, an African-American painter whose career spanned the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Tanner was born in 1859 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and faced significant racial barriers throughout his early life and career in the United States. Seeking greater artistic freedom and recognition, he moved to France, where he studied at the prestigious Académie Julian. There, he was influenced by both the academic realism of his teachers and the emerging currents of Impressionism. Tanner became known for his sensitive, dignified portrayals of biblical and genre scenes, often infusing his works with a deep sense of spirituality and humanity. This painting, created during Tanner's mature period, reflects his commitment to authenticity and his desire to capture the complexity of human experience within sacred narratives. His decision to depict a racially and culturally diverse crowd is particularly noteworthy, setting his work apart from more conventional biblical art of the time. Tanner's approach demonstrates both an awareness of historical realities and a progressive vision for religious painting, one that embraces inclusivity and cultural nuance. The provenance of this painting is partially documented, with records indicating that it was exhibited in the early decades of the 20th century. Over the years, it has passed through several private and public collections, reflecting its enduring appeal and significance. At present, the painting is held in a museum collection that specializes in American and religious art, though the precise details of its ownership history are not fully available. The work shows signs of age, including the fine network of craquelure that often appears on oil paintings from this period. Conservation efforts have focused on preserving its original vibrancy and detail, ensuring that future generations can continue to engage with its powerful narrative. In the context of art history, this painting stands as a testament to Tanner's unique vision and technical mastery. It bridges the gap between realism and symbolism, offering a scene that is both historically plausible and emotionally resonant. The work's legacy lies not only in its depiction of a biblical miracle, but in its capacity to evoke the universal human experiences of loss, hope, and renewal. Through his sensitive rendering of diverse figures and his skillful manipulation of light and shadow, Tanner invites us to witness a moment of transformation, not only for Lazarus, but for all those who stand at the threshold of despair and possibility. As we reflect on this painting's significance, it becomes clear that its enduring power rests in its ability to humanize the miraculous, to draw us into the emotional and psychological depths of a story that has shaped religious and artistic traditions for centuries. In Tanner's hands, the raising of Lazarus is not merely an event from the distant past, but a living drama, one that continues to speak to the complexities of faith, the bonds of family, and the enduring hope for renewal.